spent years chasing answers about the heavenly principles, the unknown god, Paimon, and what really governs the fate of this world. But two theories keep coming back stronger than the rest. One, Paimon is actually Asmodee, the ruler of space. And two, Paimon is the heavenly principles itself. Both seem to fit the lore, but both change everything about how we see the story. So which one is true? And where does the Traveler fall into all of this? In today's video, we're diving into two of the biggest, most game-changing theories by analyzing the recent God's Limits teaser to World Quest that probably 50% of players haven't done yet, and piecing together what could be the true endgame of Genshin Impact. Please keep in mind this video mixes confirmed lore with theory and speculation. Approach with curiosity, and please don't treat the information here as absolute fact. But before we dive in, a quick word from today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Infinity Nikki, and as a fairy fashion girly, I'm super excited for the sponsor. If you've ever dreamed of stepping into a magical world where fashion meets fantasy, this is your moment. Infinity Nikki is the coziest open world game you'll ever play. A beautiful blend of dress-up, exploration, and heartwarming storytelling. Infinity Nikki invites you into the whimsical nations of Miraland, where every corner hides a story, a secret, or a stunning new outfit. Whether you're catching fireflies, solving ancient puzzles, or gliding through meadows in style, this isn't just a game, it's a peaceful escape from reality. It's already reached over 20 million global downloads, and once you enter Nikki's world, you'll see why. And now with version 1.7, Infinity Nikki enters a stunning new season, one filled with mystery, melancholy, and magic. Set in the breezy meadow, this update introduces a hauntingly beautiful event zone where blue tears, a glowing natural phenomenon, flood the land once every 20 years. Explore ancient ruins with Nikki and Momo as you uncover the secrets of a sleeping giant serpent, and wear limited-time new outfits that are designed to shimmer and react to blue tears environments, including the 5-star Resonance outfit Tide of Tears and the 4-star Resonance outfit Nightlight Whispers. And you can get a free 3-star outfit Midnight Gleam in the limited-time event when blue tears overflow. The dye system lets you customize hair, gowns, and accessories with endless creativity, and players have already begun using it to recreate iconic looks from other open world or RPG games. Even better, the game's built-in photo mode and co-op features mean you can team up with a friend, find the perfect scenic spot, and show off your style in a world that rewards curiosity, creativity over competition. And right now, with the limited time event Time's Gentle Sway, you can head to Breezy Meadow and ride the water swing, either swaying solo, inviting Momo, or sharing the moment with friends. It's a peaceful, picture-perfect way to relive the carefree bliss of simpler times, all while wrapped in a world of soft colors and floating petals. If you've been waiting for your fairy tale escape, this is your enchanted invitation. Use the link in the description or pinned comment down below to download Infinity Nikki today. Thank you so much, Infinity Nikki, for sponsoring today's video. In Genshin's vast world of elemental nations, and especially secretive gods, one entity governs it all from the shadows: the Heavenly Principles. But what is the Heavenly Principles? The Heavenly Principles is the first and highest god that rules over Teyvat. They are a descender, a being from outer space who conquered Teyvat from its original rulers, the 7 dragon sovereigns. Before humans walked the earth, Teyvat belonged to the dragon race. But the Heavenly Principles ascended from beyond, conquering this primordial world with the help of its 4 powerful envoys known as the Shades. Nibirius, one of these Shades, directly contributed to creating life as we know it, animals, plants, and even humanity itself. Today, the Heavenly Principles rule from Celestia. Their authority over fate and order is absolute, and their gaze seems to stretch across every part of the world. But cracks in that authority exist. Various factions work in the shadows to overthrow the Heavenly Principles, meaning all is not as perfect as it seems. And apparently, after the Cataclysm, the Heavenly Principles has been asleep. The Shades themselves, Nibirius, Renova, Istaroth, and Asmodee, were created from the Heavenly Principles' own power. We even have a subtle confirmation that these Shades align with the 5 artifact set pieces in the game: Flower of Life for Nibirius, the ruler of life; Plume of Death for Renova, the ruler of death; Sands of Eons for Istaroth, the ruler of time; and Goblet of Eonathim, more accurately known as the Cup of Space in Chinese, for Asmodee, the ruler of space. The final piece, the Circlet of Logos, or Reason, symbolizes the Heavenly Principles itself. Each shade represents a fundamental force, but one stands out more than the rest: Asmodee. Unlike the others, Asmodee's role might tie directly into one of Genshin Impact's biggest mysteries. And that brings us to our first main theory. Paimon is Asmodee, the ruler of space. You've probably heard it before. Paimon is the unknown god. It's a theory that's been dangled in front of us since the very beginning of Genshin Impact. always hinted at but never confirmed. At least not until the God's Limits teaser finally gave us real clues. But here's the twist. If Paimon is actually Asmodee, the ruler of space, that might not be a bad thing at all, because the unknown god was never truly the villain. Asmodee was involved in major events that shaped Teyvat, the destruction of Khaenri'ah and the separation of the Traveler twins when they tried to escape. But if the Shades obey the heavenly principles, Asmodee likely had no real choice. They were bound to enforce the order they were created to serve. Though they act in the name of the heavenly principles, some Shades have shown deep compassion for humanity. Istaroth answered Enkonomiya's prayers when no other god would, while Renova helped establish Natlan's Night Kingdom, an act of love seen as overstepping her bounds, much to the heavenly principles' disapproval. These examples show something very important. The Shades aren't just obedient enforcers. They are capable of feeling empathy and potentially guilt. And when they act on those feelings to help humanity, the system punishes them. If the Shades were created to obey yet possess some level of compassion, then Asmodee might have been no different. Asmodee might feel guilt. That guilt might have changed everything. Instead of following the old order, Asmodee may have chosen a new path, one guided by guilt and regret and the hope to make Teyvat a better place. Asmodee calls herself the sustainer of heavenly principles. But what if that title means she sustains not the old heavenly principles, but the new one? Asmodee may have felt guilt for her role in Khaenri'ah's fall, and she might be aware that something is deeply wrong with the current heavenly principles. Sensing corruption within the heavenly principles, she tried to act against it. Separating the twins was a strategy, a way to ensure one of them could survive and change everything. From that guilt, a fragment was born. Paimon. Like Rukkhadevata becoming Nahida, Paimon may be a smaller fragment of Asmodee. If Paimon is a fragment of Asmodee, then the Traveler might be destined to become the new heavenly principles. In the Natsitsenkreuz world quest, we learn of a hero's sword capable of creating reason. It represents the Natsitsenkreuz Ordo's desire to sever the connection between the physical body and the soul, enabling them to potentially escape death and the impending apocalypse. Theoretically, the one who wields it could be a ruler of reason. The Traveler in our entire story is our sword-wielding hero, the likely successor to the title of Ruler of Reason, the new heavenly principles. And as a descender, they can fight against the current will of this world. In the past, the heavenly principles has been described as appearing androgynous, which means either Aether or Lumine can be the new heavenly principles. The Natsitsenkreuz Ordo describes memory, wish, soul, and persona as the 4 key aspects they use to understand existence and human identity. They believed these concepts were the pillars that shape how the world functions. If the Traveler is truly destined to become the new heavenly principles, it's possible they could embody similar concepts. The original Shades weren't just gods, they were living aspects of the heavenly principles' core ideals and purpose. In the Traveler's case, these new Shades wouldn't necessarily appear as separate goddesses or beings. Instead, they could represent guiding principles, the essential facets of the Traveler's role in leading and reshaping Teyvat's future. The 4 Orthants of the Natsitsenkreuz Ordo mirror the structure of the original 4 Shades, but they instead represent human ideals. And these 4 concepts directly reflect aspects of the Traveler's journey. Memory is the accumulation of experience, knowledge, and history. For the Traveler, this ties to their unique ability as a descender to remember even when Irminsul's records are altered. Nahida confirms descenders exist outside Teyvat's system. And Zhongli says as long as a Traveler like you is able to record what happened, then a backup of sorts will exist for times and tides of Teyvat. As a core Shade, memory would make the Traveler the unbroken record of history, a keeper of truth across worlds, holding onto what really happened no matter how many times reality is written. Wish is the desire or driving force behind one's actions. The Traveler arrived in Teyvat as a shooting star, visually a wish come true. The Traveler, as the new heavenly principles, carries Teyvat's collective hopes and wishes. Soul is the unchanging core of a being. While memories can fade and wishes can change, soul represents permanence, the eternal truth of a person. Traveler's essence remains unchanged, even as they switch elements or roles throughout all the nations they've been through. Unlike Teyvat's residents, the Traveler is immune to corruption and corrosion. Persona is the self shaped by society, the adaptable face shown to the world. So while soul is the permanent aspects of a human, persona is the adaptable. The traveler embodies this by switching elements, blending into each nation's culture, adapting without ever fully belonging. The new heavenly principles might need to adapt to humanity while staying divine. The Netsitzin Ordo emphasizes that balancing these four orthants, memory, wish, soul, and persona, is the key to creating an ideal human, or preserving humanity beyond destruction. Without one, a person is incomplete. As Dainsleif says, we humans have our humanity. We will defy this world with a power from beyond. Humanity itself may be that power, since originally they come from beyond Teyvat, a power from beyond. And who better to guide it toward a new future than the Traveler, a perfect balance of human and divine? If the Traveler is meant to become the new heavenly principles, then Paimon's role as their guide means much more than it seems. Paimon may be a fragment of Asmodee, a being sent to help the Traveler finish their journey and reshape the world into something new. Asmodee, it seems, has found peace with her new master. And through Paimon, she's guiding the Traveler not just to explore Teyvat, but to rebuild it. Piece by piece, nation by nation, until what was once broken becomes whole again. That was theory number 1. But now, what if Paimon isn't just a fragment of Asmodee, or a guide created to serve the next ruler? That brings us to our second main theory. Paimon is the heavenly principles. The very force that once ruled Teyvat, now walking beside the Traveler in a smaller, but not so quiet form. This theory draws from both visual and narrative clues. In the God's Limits trailer, Paimon's design incorporates elements from all 4 shades: Istaroth's crown, Renova's triquetra, Nibirius' hair, and Asmodee's black star. Rather than linking her to just one, this suggests Paimon embodies all 4 at once. Meaning she's not a shade, she's all of them combined. And since the shades come from the heavenly principles, Paimon could very well be the source itself. Here's a subtle detail. No one in Teyvat questions Paimon. Not a single person reacts to her floating or her appearance. Rather than it being an oversight, it feels deliberate. The world itself seems written to normalize her presence. This could mean the heavenly principles altered Teyvat's collective memory so that Paimon's existence is seen as ordinary. This isn't new in mythology. Gods often walk among mortals disguised, revealing themselves only when the time is right. Paimon could actively suppress people's ability to recognize her true nature. It could explain her strange existence, her floating, materializing from nowhere, and her innate knowledge of the world. Paimon's existence is something beyond reason, and the heavenly principles rules over reason. Before falling asleep after the cataclysm, the heavenly principles might have ejected a fragment of itself, Paimon, to observe the world and judge whether it deserves to continue in its current form or if it needs to be reset. Maybe in its current state, the heavenly principles can no longer intervene directly, but Traveler, as another descender, can. Paimon's role would then be to guide Traveler toward restoring or even undoing the world's current order. If history keeps repeating itself from the fall of Hyperborea to the fall of Conria, perhaps it's time for Teyvat to follow a new set of rules. The old one must be defective. Now, here's something that's been in the back of my mind since the Sumeru Archon quests: Traveler and their sibling journey between worlds. And it always felt like they're not meant to stay in Teyvat forever. So maybe that's why Traveler is accompanied by Paimon. Maybe in the end, when our journey is said and done, the point of it all was for Traveler to be erased from the world's memories. Paimon, the heavenly principles, would replace Traveler in Teyvat's memories and be known as the only hero of Teyvat. We've seen this idea before with Nahida replacing Rukkhadevata in Sumeru's memories, so to all of Teyvat, there was only ever one Dendro Archon. Think of it. Paimon guides the Traveler, helps them restore Teyvat, and when their journey ends, Traveler will pass their deeds to Paimon. Then Paimon will be the only one who carries their legacy as Teyvat's savior, while the Traveler quietly fades from history. Genshin Impact is a game that involves the player's own journey through Teyvat. The Traveler represents us. Erasing the Traveler from the world mirrors the player logging off for the final time. And then maybe we're off to the next world. But completely erasing Traveler from history, is this something they'll be forced to do? Or is this a choice that we can make for them? So between the two theories, is Paimon Asmodee or is Paimon the heavenly principles? I like both. Seriously, I'm 50-50 on both theories. I really do see both theories as equally possible. Personally, I love exploring all possibilities, and I love when people do the same. So I'm the type who keeps all possibilities on the table. Remember, Genshin lore and theories are something everyone explores at their own pace. Don't let anyone tell you what theory you should or shouldn't believe, because every idea and theory has its place in the journey of figuring it all out. And we'll keep exploring it all together, one theory, one lore drop at a time. So now I turn the question to you. Which theory do you believe in the most? Is Paimon Asmodee or is Paimon the Heavenly Principles? Comment down below because I really want to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you so much Infinity Nikki for sponsoring today's video. I'm your leafy lore keeper Minzliff, and I read the Genshin Impact lore so that you don't have to.